You probably think the Bismarck was an invincible monster, and the Indianapolis was just an unlucky footnote. You are wrong, and if that stings, good, because the real disaster is at number 1, and it is uglier than the recruiting posters ever admitted. So strap in, because these 7 floating promises turned into steel coffins, and the clock is ticking down. Number 7. HMS Hood, the pride of the Royal Navy that promised to be the Empire's sledgehammer, the fast battleship that would outrun what it could not outgun, and outgun what it could not outrun. The reality was thin deck armor that turned the midship magazines into a clown show of wishful thinking. 1 shell from Bismarck in the Denmark Strait, 1 catastrophic flash fire, and in under 3 minutes the pride was gone, and over 1,400 souls went with her. A sailor from the escorting Prince of Wales muttered, "We brought a peacock to a gunfight, and it molted. If that sounds cruel, wait until number 6. Number 6. Bismarck, the wonder ship that promised to break the Atlantic lifeline. The reality, hubris on a hull, the rudder crippled by a single swordfish biplane torpedo. Yes, a canvas and wire antique switched off the most dangerous battleship afloat. She staggered in circles like a drunk until British battleships carved her up at point-blank range, flooding, fires, machinery wrecked, scuttling charges, finishing the job. Over 2,000 crew lost. The myth died with her. A German officer later snarled, "We built a cathedral and sailed it into a meat grinder." And if that sounds bad, number 5 proved air power made battleship bravado not just naive but suicidal. Number 5. Force Z, Prince of Wales and Repulse. The promise, deter Japan and show the flag. No carrier cover needed. The reality, a flying circus of Japanese torpedo bombers shredded them in the South China Sea. Prince of Wales limped with failed anti-aircraft mounts and flooding through vulnerable shaft alleys. Repulse danced like a heavyweight trying to dodge raindrops. Both went under in hours, over 800 killed, all to teach a 1-lesson course in modern war. A survivor choked. Our guns were useless against shadows, just noise before the water came. Arrogant planning turned steel into reefs. And if that bites, number 4 is the death of an empire's dream in one pointless parade. Number 4, Yamato, the promise. Super battleship, unmatched armor, and guns that threw shells like flying garages, designed to obliterate anything afloat. The reality, fuel-starved, air cover thin, sent on a one-way tantrum toward Okinawa in 1945, swarmed by hundreds of American aircraft. Bombs wrecked the deck, torpedoes punched holes like can openers along her vulnerable side. Poor damage control, inadequate pump capacity, counter-flooding turned into a guessing game. She erupted in a magazine blast that scarred the sky. Over 3,000 men gone. A Japanese petty officer was heard saying, "We were a shrine to yesterday, and the priests were blind." And if that sounds like the bottom, number 3 asks how many civilians a navy can lose and still pretend it was strategy. Number 3, Wilhelm Gustloff, the promise. Evacuate refugees and wounded under the collapsing Third Reich. The reality, overcrowded beyond sanity, no proper escort. Lights on in a war zone like a target billboard. A Soviet submarine fired 3 torpedoes, and the ship rolled and froze thousands in the Baltic night. The death toll climbed past 9,000 by most serious accounts, the largest loss of life in maritime history, and the engineering sin was criminal capacity, mismanagement, and zero-layered protection. A crewman would later spit the line every captain dreads. The lifeboats were decoration. The water did the counting. Mass tragedy underlines that navies which ignore logistics build floating tombs, and if that sounds like the worst, number 2 managed to sink before it knew how to sail. Number 2, Shinano, the Promise, the biggest aircraft carrier on Earth, born from a battleship hull, rushed to sea to change the game. The reality, launched half-finished with pipes open, watertight doors untested, and damage control teams barely trained. A single American submarine put 4 torpedoes into her side. Sloppy sealing and poor compartmentation did the rest. Flooding tore through the ship like a landlord through rent money. She rolled over in under 12 hours of her maiden voyage. More than 1,000 dead for a ship that never fought. A Japanese officer snapped, "We tried to sprint in untied shoes and tripped into the sea." And if that sounds humiliating, save the word disaster for number 1, where negligence butchered the survivors. Number 1, USS Indianapolis. The Promise, a heavy cruiser carrying the components for the first atomic bomb across the Pacific at flank speed, mission accomplished, then a quiet sprint toward Leyte. The reality, no escort, no functioning sonar, and a communications chain so broken that her non-arrival triggered nothing. In the black water of late July 1945, 2 torpedoes from a Japanese submarine tore the bow and midships. The ship sank in about 12 minutes, no full distress call. Hundreds went into the water with kapok vests that would waterlog and fail. The Navy lost track, and for 4 days the survivors drifted. Dehydration, exposure, and yes, sharks that fed because command had abdicated its most basic duty. Find the men. Rescue the men. The figures are merciless. Around 1,196 aboard, roughly 300 went down with the ship, and of the 800 or so who entered the water, only around 316 were pulled out alive. The rest died because a chain of incompetence did not mark arrivals, did not raise an alarm, and did not coordinate air search. The engineering sin was not steel, it was process. No convoy doctrine, no redundant reporting, no emergency beacon that worked under real chaos. A surviving sailor put it in a line that should be chiseled into every operations manual: "The ocean did not kill us, paperwork did." This was the worst because it was not fate or superior firepower. It was administrative cowardice that left men to die in a sea they had already crossed for victory. And the human cost was multiplied by silence. A court-martial that scapegoated the captain. A bureaucracy that learned late and offered condolences like sand. This was a death trap built from arrogance and wrapped in a shrug. The mission was secret. The failure was not. The real disaster was how long it took to admit it. That is the list. Pride turned into reefs, speed into splashes, and paper promises into cold graves. The worst engineering flaw in war is not a weak weld or a thin deck. It is believing the enemy will forgive stupidity. Did a worse one slip the net? Say so in the comments and bring receipts. If you enjoyed this, tap like and subscribe. It really helps. And drop a quick comment telling us where you're watching from: the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, or anywhere else in the world. Your reply helps the video reach more people just like you.